Now the spotlight turns to the British and European heavyweight title. The British champion is Daniel Dubois. He's defending against fellow unbeaten rival Joe Joyce. Should be an absolutely cracking contest. Joining me to discuss tactics, first of all we have David Haye with us, alongside Andy Lee. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. David, first question to you. You, I believe, promoted Joe Joyce at the start of his career. You must have seen a lot of talent and a lot of... He was a great prospect.
He was a fantastic prospect. I could see from the very first time up close him sparring against good quality opposition. He's the real deal. You know, you get these guys with all the hype coming out of the amateurs from the Olympic bronze medalists. Can they make the conversion to the professional game?
Olympic silver.
It's Olympic silver. He won the gold. We all know he won the gold. He didn't get it officially, but he made the conversion to a professional game very, very rapidly. He has all the ingredients needed to go to the top. Can he get past this young dynamite, Dubois? It leaves me with goosebumps thinking about two undefeated fighters who are willing to do it. This doesn't happen in boxing. You don't get two young guys willing to put it on the line. It's a great time in British boxing.
Andy, both boxers have got different strengths. What do you see in those strengths with Joyce and with Dubois?
With Dubois, the obvious thing is the right hand and his power.
Yeah.
He also has a very good left hook. But what I'm impressed by him is his balance, his poise, and his discipline to work off a jab. And he's always looking to set up that right hand, and he has different ways of setting it up, whether it be off a hook or, as I said, the jab, or if he might look down and shoot it up to the chin. With Joyce, he's very awkward, he's unorthodox style, and for this fight, which is natural to him, is to go on the front foot and apply pressure and make Dubois fight at a pace that he's never fought at yet.
First of all, Daniel Dubois' strengths. I actually think he's got one of the best jabs in boxing at the moment.
Can't ignore that jab.
No, you can't, can you, David? And also, look at this. Look at the gap here. So, look at the gap he's keeping. Andy, how important is it for Daniel to keep that gap?
Well, keeping the distance with the jab, it's obviously he's keeping his opponent at arm's length, avoiding counters, but it's also keeping him right at the end of his punch for the right hand to follow through. He's very disciplined with his jab, and he will stick to that jab. He won't get away from it, and he does it all behind good balance.
Distance is key, and he uses his jab as a range finder as well as a weapon. He can I've seen him really buzz people with a straight jab, but it's the right hand. If people taste that first jab and they think, if the jab's this heavy, I don't want any part of that right hand, and he puts him in that negative position.
And some of these jabs are hard, aren't they?
Yeah, he rocked Lafferty back there on his heels just from the jab.
And Andy, he gets good leverage, obviously, from that jab then for the right hand because of that gap.
Yeah, it is a heavy jab when he steps with a heavy lead foot. And if Joyce is able to evade that hand by slipping to the left, he will find opportunities to land his own right hand. So he's got to be careful of how much actually he commits to the jab.
Now, we know Daniel Dubois has got a great jab, but his straight punches, for me, is one of his strengths. So we look at the straight punches, not only the jab, but the right hand. Good right hand there, David. You had the haymaker right hand. How important is it?
It's very important. A lot of his knockouts have come with that straight right hand. He times it very well, and it's a shot that everybody who fights him will be fearful of. So in your mind, you're going to have to stay away from it because it is his signature punch.
And that right hand is set up behind that left jab.
It's always behind the jab. It's always behind the jab. He never really throws a right hand lead. It's always a jab or a hook that's preceded with the right hand. And it's a perfectly thrown right hand, and it's always going to do damage because of how he throws it.
So he's got a good straight jab, good right hand, but occasionally a little left hook to the body. He does it very well.
It's not a shot that many heavyweights throw, the body shot. You know, Mike Tyson famously, he loved the body shot. And you know, Dubois reminds me of Tyson, the way the fact he's so young, the fact he lets his hands go and he's so heavy-handed. And I think the left hook to the body is going to be key in this fight. The only time Joyce has ever been hurt was with a body shot I've ever seen. Against Brian Jennings in that first, I've never seen Joyce show any physical signs of pain. I've seen him hit with some almighty right hands on the chin. He just shakes them off. The first time I ever saw any damage to him was in that first round against Jennings, and coincidentally, Dubois, one of his best shots is his left hook to the body. So that could play into things. This is something that Joyce should be addressing in the gym every day, making sure that he's prepared for the shot, and if the shot does land, which it will do at some stage, that his body and his core is rock solid. He needs to be taking a lot of medicine ball work around the middle.
So even against Larty here, Larty's got the elbows tucked in, but he just finds the gap. He just finds that little gap there. There it is.
You could see he was looking for it. He was looking for it, and maybe it was that much space to fit that glove in there, and he landed again against Gorman.
His power in either hand. Let's have a look at some knockouts and some examples of that power.
His power is natural. He doesn't need to load with his shots. He's just naturally heavy-handed. You know, the way he takes people out. You know, very few heavyweights have a showreel knockout like he does. He can really put you to sleep with one shot. And the little sneaky left hooks to the body really softens people up beforehand. Look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful stuff.
The thing is, he has excellent technique.
Yes.
It's his ability to close his shoulder with the punch,
Yes.
really chop through, like Lennox Lewis used to do with the right hand.
Yeah.
As you can see, he's had a number of different knockouts to the body and to the head, left hands and right hand. So it's not just a big right hand puncher.
A good all-rounder then, David.
Yeah, what I like about him is you get some guys who are that big and that solid, but they look like they've been in the weights gym pumping up. Yeah. He looks like he's naturally like that. He's got big hands, big wrists. He's just a big, solid man. And when he lets his hands go, the power that's in there without him even trying is so dangerous. And it's natural. You know, most fighters don't have that type of knockout power.
No boxer is perfect, so there are a few little negatives for Dubois. Not many, but let's point out just a couple. Occasionally, the red mist can come down. He fancies his chances. He's confident in his own chin, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to knock you out, and he's prepared to take a shot. Yeah. But occasionally, it can backfire. It didn't here, but he gets caught with a couple of shots. Look at that. Then he's all over the place, and he loses his shape a little bit.
I think that exchange stems from a little bit of embarrassment from being hit with the previous right hand.
Right, that's right.
He's young, undefeated. This is his show. It's his hometown, and he got caught clean. It's the first time he's been caught clean properly in his career, and now he wants to retaliate.
Yeah.
And that is a weakness. That young, hungry want to get it back. Yeah. It can't. It worked
because
out.
Here, Dave, it's a 50-50 now, isn't it?
Yeah. I like the fact that he wanted to mix it up. Might not have been the best tactical thing to do.
Yeah. Made it exciting.
Looking at the fact it was round 3 or round 10. Yeah. But the fact that he had confidence in his chin, that he wanted to stand and trade, just makes for more of an exciting fight.
And there's an element of defense when he's exchanging, because he closes his shoulder so early with the punch that his chin is rarely that exposed, because even though his head is on the line,
he's educated trading.
Yeah, he's trading with his shoulder. Yeah. Yes. You can see he's closing his shoulder every time. Look, his chin is protected. Chin is protected. Every time he follows through.
He was bringing his left hand. He's bringing his right hand back to his chin with every left hook. And a lot of times when people trade, the hand drops down and they get caught. But this time around, he's still.
David and Andy, I just want to make this point as well. On the ropes here now, look at this. Again, he comes a little bit too square. He fancies his chances, he wants to trade, but his feet come square, and we all know that once you come square, your target comes full onto your opponent. When you're like this, it's half a target. So here, his feet come square, and again, he's a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, it was a bit eager. He was a bit eager. He had his man hurt, and he tried to jump all over him, and that's the bit of an experience that he had in the past that he seems to be calming down with now.
Of course, look who's ringside, Andy.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is that it's come from missing the right hand.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've talked about overcommitting with shots with every jab, but now it's the right hand.
Is that a fault then? If you miss with the right hand and the leg comes round?
It's important to have a low exit.
Yes.
To either have a low exit, but.
Okay.
You'll see as the clip, I think as his clip goes on, he quickly gets back onto balance. You'll see that he takes a simple small step back with his right leg, and he's back on balance. But then again, he goes square.
He goes square. Because he smells the victory, David, yeah?
He won't be able to walk in that comfortably against Joyce. Joyce is a few inches taller than him, and he lets his hands go. Very rarely, you're not going to get Joyce against ropes leaning downwards. No. It's just not what he does. He'll go to the ropes and he'll hold his form together.
Will Joe Joyce fancy that type of contest, or will he prefer Daniel at range?
I think in your mind you might want a slugfest, but once you taste a few of these shots, Joyce will be able to absorb these big shots from him. I don't think the first shot Joe Joyce gets hit with is going to knock him out. His chin is granite. But he will feel a shot. He'll know the difference between a big shot and, okay, he'll get hit with a shot and he'll think, okay, maybe I'll wait for this guy to wait for round 5, 6, 7 before we start trading. I think Joyce will try to keep it long, keep him at bay, and maybe control him with his jab.
So you think Dubois will fancy his chance in a toe-to-toe slugfest with Joe Joyce?
I think Dubois would like it up close and personal in the phone box, whereas Joyce, having the height and reach advantage, the Olympian, used to keeping things long, the master boxer.
Joyce seems to have a better, Dubois seems to have a better technique and a more efficient puncher, especially up close and shorter.
In close, long range, I've seen Dubois have to outbox someone before. He's never needed to. No. He's just hunted them down and chopped them down. Whereas Joyce has fought big guys before, used to knock. He was jabbing to the body, broke him up with the headshots, moving around. He looked fantastic in that fight. Yeah. So I definitely think Joyce's boxing, long-range boxing ability, with his whole amateur pedigree, I think will be superior to Dubois. Whereas Dubois inside trading, I'll go with Dubois up close and Joyce long range.
How important were those spars that they both had with each other on GB?
I don't think it might. I don't think
psychologically.
I think so. But Joyce has said he's very heavy-handed. I said, how'd that spar go? He said he said even his jab. Boom. He said, you know about it. But back then, Joyce was a very different fighter than he is now. Back then, he was younger. Yeah. He used to just have his hands up, and he didn't really mind what was coming down the middle because you had the amateur big gloves, you had the head guard. But as a professional, with these small gloves you wear now, one shot you got a cut now. So he's going to have to move. Obviously, having Ismail Salas in his corner, who's big on head movement, big on movement, staying away from the danger zone. I definitely think that's going to help out Joyce.
How important will it be, the pace of the contest early for Daniel Dubois?
I think he has to set a fast pace if Joyce tries to box. Yeah. If Joyce tries to come at him, then he'll have to try to control his emotions, try to stay calm, and also control the pace himself by keeping it slow, using his jab just to set the distance. And also, if Joyce wants to start fast, try to land that right hand to stop Joyce in his tracks. If Joyce tries to box and move, then to attack him and chase him.
He needs to get Joyce's respect from the very first round. Joyce, they call him a juggernaut for a reason. He just keeps moving forward. He just keeps walk through anything. So you have to get his respect early. I think the only way Dubois can keep him off him, he needs to get his respect. He has to land something clean and hard in the first round to make Joyce go, okay, let me get back to my boxing here. But if Dubois isn't able to land something significant early, Joyce will be all over him. Joyce will be all over him like a rash, and he'll just keep left, right, left. I've seen him do it before, and you think he can't keep it up, but he can keep it up for 12. I've never seen another heavyweight, I'm talking about ever, throw as many punches as I've seen Joyce throw. So Dubois needs to be very aware that standing on the ropes, tucking up, waiting for Joyce to punch himself out isn't going to happen.
I had a look at some footage on Joe Joyce. One thing I picked up straight away, again, a jab. He's got a good jab, but the jab to the body for me is a significant punch and one he does very well. Watch it. This was against Ustinov.
This fight he trained with Adam Booth for this fight, and Adam Booth's a big fan of jabbing to the solar plexus to get some range, to keep your man off you. It's a kind of a defensive shot, but a shot that can be used as a big weapon, as you can shoot it down and then come up top. And he used this perfectly in his first round. He threw so many hard jabs to the solar plexus of Ustinov. It really put him under pressure.
And Andy, if you hit with 9 or 10 of them around, they're going to take the toll.
You'll feel it, yeah. And what he's also doing is, as you said, he's taking his head out and he's moving to his right. Yeah. And that would be good against Dubois because it would be moving away from the right hand.
And that jab, David, it's not a soft jab, it's a solid jab.
It's not soft at all. He's a very heavy-handed man himself. He doesn't have to knock out power in each shot, but those shots, he's looking to do damage. He's a spiteful fighter. He wants to do damage when he's in there.
And he was up on his toes, he's in and out, and if you look at the eye line of Brian Jennings here, look, he just nipped down there, got that shot. It's a great shot, Andy.
Yeah, it's very effective, and it will keep his opponents on their heels.
Yes.
And it'll break, and it will set a rhythm when he's looking downstairs, and throwing that shot. They get used to seeing it. That will leave opportunities to the head.
He's so strong coming forward. Volume of punches. Look at him here. There's a 1-2 that comes in here, but then he's on him and doesn't give Ustinov just a second. He's just on you all the time.
He's so used to coming forward and letting his hands go, and very few people he's fought have had the power to knock him out, for instance. So he's built a confidence that he knows he can come forward and let his hands go, and that's normally enough to break people down. I don't think he's fought anybody as an amateur or a professional yet who punches as single
But
power
will that
as
suit
Dubois.
Daniel Dubois? Will Daniel Dubois, you know, will he fancy Joyce coming at him to bring him onto that right hand?
I think Dubois would prefer Joyce to come at him like this because it gives him the opportunity to let his hands go, as he's a heavier single puncher. I think Joyce won't come out like that. I think Salas, his coach, who's big into movement, big into not getting hit, will have him moving, jabbing.
On the outside?
On the outside. I think we may see something similar to when Joyce fought Ustinov, when he kept the punches very, very long range.
But this was against a better class opponent, again, Brighton Jennings, Andy as well.
That's something that separates Dubois and Joyce too. The level of opposition they've faced. When you look at Joyce, he's fought Jennings, he's fought Ustinov,
Stavern, Bermain Stavern, former heavyweight champion. Yeah.
That's a huge difference in what Dubois is facing. That's confidence for Joyce going into this fight.
Sometimes I think his power is underestimated because his shots don't seem that fast.
If you throw 200 punches in a round, the chances of any of those 200 punches being a knockout punch are very low. Whereas Dubois throws a lot fewer punches per round, but each punch are that much harder. Joyce has made a career of throwing lots of punches per round, but his punches, the individual punches are hard enough to get your respect, to bludgeon you. They slow you down, they bother you, they can cut you.
So he's got decent power as Joe Joyce. What's this little left hook that's coming up here?
You actually let him have a breather there. He wanted some work.
And then there's the left hook there. I mean, that's decent.
Joe Hanks is a decent fighter himself, and he made him look like nothing. Here against Ustinov, is a former world title challenger himself.
But that right hand hurt there. You could see it really did hurt.
Yeah, he has got decent power, and there's the left hook again.
This was one of Joyce's best performances. He really came out there, had a solid game plan. The jab to the body worked effectively, and he broke up someone who's a big, strong, experienced world title contender.
And Joyce is probably the first guy Dubois has faced who can match him physically.
Yeah, agreed.
He's slightly taller, but just as big, and probably as strong physically in the clinches. Yeah. And that could be a big thing in this fight too, because Joyce has an awkward style, and if he can make it an ugly, awkward fight and upset the young Dubois, it could work for him.
But again, negatives. He has a few negatives. Sometimes there's a little bit lack of head movement. So let's take a look here. When he's up straight, when he's coming forward, look at here. Just take 2 or 3 shots against Ustinov. Just gets caught with this right hand. There. Look where his hands are. His hands are a little bit too low. So occasionally his hands can be low. Lack of head movement. Will Daniel Dubois, will he like what he sees in that?
Sometimes Joyce uses the parallel arm defence perfectly, but sometimes he blinds himself. He puts his hands up and waits for his opponent to stop punching. And you don't want to get caught like he did against Hanks with uppercuts around the middle and hooks around the side. Up until this point, he's been able to just put his hands up and get away with it. Against Dubois, he's going to need to do something a little different. He's going to need to slip a shot.
I was going to say, will he need more head movement?
I think he will, but he has the perfect coach who talks about head movement every day. He's got the Cuban guy about moving his head, relaxing his shoulders. He was getting him dancing in the ring, doing salsa. So if there's ever a fight to have Salas in it, it's against a guy like Dubois, who's so dangerous with one shot.
As an amateur, he had head movement, Joe Joyce. Yes, if you look at his fights with Filip Herkovich and that, you can see he moved his head. He slipped a lot of punches in that fight. And to me, he's like a fella who, just as he goes through the fight, he walks forward, he's walking forward, and he might get caught with a right hand. Okay, next time you're not going to catch him that. He'll put something up, but he will have to take a few shots. It's like he makes adjustments as he goes through a fight, and it takes him a little bit of time to realise what's actually coming at him.
Yeah.
And in this contest against Brighton Jennings, Joe Joyce actually starts it pretty well, but he gets caught with a good left hook in the first round. So let's take a look here. There it is there. That's the shot. That's the shot that... First time, you said...
Yeah, first time I've seen him
hurt.
Significantly hurt in a boxing match or a spar. I've never seen him go back from anything ever. And I remember watching this at ringside at the O2 thinking, I haven't seen this before. I wonder how he's going to regroup and come back, and he ticked all the boxes. You have to get hit at some stage and hurt. No fighter goes through the whole career without getting hurt.
It's not necessarily a weakness. Trust me. No. Anyone gets hit with a good left hook.
That's it. No matter who you are.
Anyone who punches decent, you're going to feel it. The only thing that he didn't do is that he didn't disguise it.
Yeah.
You know, most fighters will get hurt with body shots, but
the
whole arena could see that he was hurt.
He's not used to being hurt. He's so not used to getting hurt, he didn't know what to do when you got hit with a body shot.
But David, it happened again. There it is there. Yeah. Surely Daniel Dubois will like what he sees here because he's got a terrific left hook to the body.
Daniel Dubois, I'd say his best shot is his right hand down the pipe. Then I think his left hook to the body. It's an underrated punch that not many people talk about because it's not a sexy shot. It comes short. You don't really see the damage. Yeah. But I think that's one of his best punches. And the fact that Joyce was hurt considerably with a left hook to body, it will definitely give Dubois confidence going into this fight.
Andy, you're a coach. If you were coaching Joe Joyce, what would your tactic be for Joe Joyce going into this fight?
Use your jab and to fight in the breaks. Make Dubois fight when he's looking to reset. Use an offbeat rhythm in terms of have your exchange, whether you win the exchange or not. As soon as you come out of the exchange, attack again. And try not to let Dubois settle. I think that could be effective for Joyce.
And David, what do you think Joe Joyce has got to do to win the fight?
Joe Joyce needs to stay away from the danger zone, which is inside trading. Keep it long, keep it basic, and hope the young man gets desperate, reaches in for something, and then look to counterpunch the big puncher, because the big puncher will be looking for damage early doors. He's young, he's hungry. We've seen it in fights earlier on, so with Lati, for instance, where he got hit with a shot, got a little embarrassed and just let his hands go. So Joyce needs to try to use his experience, his international experience, and not go in there with an unnecessary slugfest early.
Fascinating stuff, guys, that's great. Well, there's no doubt that Joe Joyce's style would give any heavyweight in the world problems. So watch the fight live on BT Sport. Don't miss it.